Excuse me, sir. Sir, question for you.
Yeah.
Is this your G-Wagon?
Yes.
What do you do for a living out here in Austin to be able to afford a G-Wagon?
I'm in software.
I'm an investor.
So you're in finance.
Yeah, private equity and venture capital, absolutely.
What was the most amount of money that you made in a single year?
Well, I sold my company for $800 million.
For how much?
$800 million.
You sold a company for $800 million? What type of company did you sell?
Braintree Venmo. Have you ever paid somebody with Venmo?
Like Venmo, the app?
Venmo.
And do you think I could interview real quick? I have one of the biggest business media channels in the entire world. I go all over interviewing the most successful people.
I think I've heard of you guys.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'd love
Would
to
you want me
talk
with
to
you? Is that cool?
That would be awesome.
Awesome. What was the most amount of money that you made in a single year?
We're over $850 million in revenue.
Over 850 million?
Yes.
So through the grace of God, the companies that have started do well in excess of $1 billion of revenue every year.
You're doing $1 billion in revenue a year?
Yes, absolutely do.
Your last message to somebody in their 20s trying to build a $1 billion company in today's world. They want to become successful like you. You've heard the saying that everything's bigger in Texas, but I don't think you realize how big, wealthy it actually is out here. In fact, Texas is home to over 80 billionaires. And if Texas was its own country, it would be the 8th largest economy in the entire world. So I flew out to Texas today, in Austin, which is home to billionaires like Elon Musk and Michael Dell, to go around finding and asking some of these billionaires what they did to become wealthy and how you watching can become financially free and follow in their footsteps to become millionaires and billionaires in today's world. This video is about to be insane from start to finish, so stay tuned. And with that being said, let's get this video on the way. Excuse me, sir. Sir, question for you.
Yeah.
Is this your G-Wagon?
Yes.
What do you do for a living out here in Austin to be able to afford a G-Wagon?
I am an entrepreneur. I make smoothies for a living.
You sell smoothies?
Yes.
How long have you been a business owner?
13 years.
Over these 13 years, what's the most amount of money that you made in a single year?
Last year we did 23 million. This year we'll do between 32 and 35 million.
35 million?
Yeah.
And I go all over the world. I grew a channel to 12 million followers, interviewing the most successful business owners. Can we get 1 minute with you for our channel real quick?
Yeah, fuck, I see you on Instagram. I love you.
Do you think everybody's built for entrepreneurship?
No, not everybody's built for entrepreneurship. Listen, there's two types of people on this planet. People that talk shit and people that do shit. If you talk shit, you're gonna be a miserable motherfucker. If you do shit, you're gonna have a good life.
So you're gonna be an action taker.
You gotta be an action taker and you gotta speak life onto people, compliment people, build them up. Fuck all this cancel culture shit. If somebody deserves a compliment, you give them a compliment. Don't flatter people. Never flatter people because it's creepy and it'll come back to bite you in the ass. If you put your faith in God, miracles will happen, doors will open, shit that you never in a million fucking years could imagine will take place in your life.
Have you seen miracles happen?
Oh my God, dude, I went from living under a fucking bridge 21 years ago, addicted to heroin and crack, and now drive a fancy car, got a fancy business.
So what was that turning point in your life then to financial freedom?
First of all, you gotta surrender. Once you surrender, once you turn your will and your life over to God, then you gotta take responsibility for everything that's going on in your life, good and bad. So like my whole thing was I was a victim. I spent 33 years on this planet as a fucking victim. My parents were bad, I got molested, my teachers were bad, I got kicked out of high school, I'm a fucking loser, I'm a high school dropout, I'm a convicted felon. It was just this perpetual tape of victimhood and it was everybody else's fault. The moment I took autonomy over myself, once I finally conceded to my innermost self that everything going on in my life was my fault. Not my parents' fault, not the fucking school that kicked me out, it was my fault. Once you take responsibility for yourself and you ask God with all your heart to help you, there's nothing you can't do. I started at 33, homeless and fucking penniless. I washed dogs, I cleaned houses, I washed cars, I did whatever the fuck I could do because I couldn't get a job. Nobody would hire me. I looked like shit. But I did whatever the fuck I had to do. I worked 7 days a week. Make more money than you spend, invest that fucking money, save that money, invest that money, and just ask God for help. And honestly, for the young men out there, don't look at that porn. Stop pounding your fucking carrot every day. That's your life force. Put that shit away. That will rob you of your soul just like the dope will.
Your last message to the younger generation, what's the best advice you could give to any 20-year-old watching this right now?
Young men out there, take care of your mom. Take care of your mom. Call her every day and tell her you love her. I wish I could call my mom right now and tell her I love her. She's gone, but I spoiled the shit out of my mom the last 17 years of her life. Jewelry, vacations, house, everything. That's the highest level of manhood, is taking care of your mom. I know she's a pain in the ass. I know she pushes your buttons. I know she drives you nuts. That's what they're supposed to do. They're your fucking mother. Take care of your mom.
That was fucking fire. That was incredible. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Yeah, man.
Guys, that was one of my favorite conversations I've ever had. He got rich. Rich off of selling smoothies. And his business is gonna do $30 million this year. But he just gave us some of the best life advice I've ever heard, especially towards the end of that interview when he said, fellas, take care of your mom. At the end of the day, the most important thing that you can do is take care of your family and never give up on them. Great interview out here in Austin, but we gotta go get this next one, you guys. Come on, let's go. Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Question for you.
Yes.
How old were you when you made your first million?
Well, how old was I when I made my first million? 28.
28. What line of business are you in?
What line of business am I in now?
Yeah.
I'm an investor.
So you're in finance.
Yeah, private equity and venture capital, absolutely.
What was the most amount of money that you made in a single year?
A lot of money.
Could you give me a range?
So through the grace of God, the companies that I started do well in excess of $1 billion of revenue every year.
Are you serious?
Yes.
You're doing $1 billion in revenue a year?
The companies that I started, yes, absolutely do.
What's the best industry somebody can get into in today's world?
Oh gosh, there are a lot of great ones, and everybody will
Give me the number one right now.
I'm going to redefine the term industry. Africa. Here's the story. Follow me on this. 9 of the 20 fastest growing economies in the world are going to be in Africa in 2025. Everybody's overlooking it. Only 0.5% of the world's private equity and venture capital is going into Africa, despite the fact that it's going to be the only continent with a growing population. A marketplace is all about consumers and producers instead of people on the tail end of life that are draining money out of an economy. Africa has a vibrancy. They're able to just step over the traditional landline telecom. They're technology, they're digital natives, they're growing, they've got an incredible work ethic, they've got stable democracies now in many cases. Africa as an industry, as a concept, is the most overlooked, undervalued investment opportunity for entrepreneurs and investors right now in 2025.
Now, let me ask you this.
Yeah, bring
What
it.
was your secret to scaling to $1 billion company?
I got to know the guys at Chick-fil-A really well, okay? So when you buy a chicken sandwich and then you say thank you, they say it's my pleasure, and they mean it. I'm like, how do you do that? How do you train that? Like, you can't do that. It's not about the customer. You can't have somebody behind the counter say it's my pleasure if they tripped over an extension cord, or you're late with their paycheck, or they had to walk a half mile from where they're parked. You delight your employee. Everything flows from that, because then your employees want to stick around. The greatest expense that any entrepreneur will ever have is employee churn. You delight your employee, give them an opportunity to flourish and to thrive. Just solving real customer issues and working on real red meat to be able to chew on. When you do that, they'll stick with you.
You take care of your employees, they take care of your customers.
100%, but your best ideas are going to come from your customers that are taking care of those employees. I'm not smart enough to have enough good ideas about how my business needs to thrive and flourish and pivot and make all the decisions I need to make. I need to rely on my company employees. You see, when they feel like they're in a safe environment where they can thrive and flourish and work on really important work, they're thinking about how to do it better. If instead they're thinking about how do I get another paycheck from someplace else, then I've lost that competitive mojo. You take care of your employees, you love them, you understand their story and who they are and what makes them tick, they'll stick with you and you'll have a business that'll thrive.
Now you guys see why they say everything's bigger in Texas. And this video is off to a crazy start so far, but I want to be real with you guys for a second. So in the last 4 years, I've been able to grow this channel to over 13 million followers across social media and build a multi-million-dollar business at the exact same time. But I want to be very clear with you all. It didn't happen because of me alone. It's the incredible team I have behind me. From my 2 other co-founders to my editors, my videographers, to even the strategists. Everyone plays a crucial role and they do things I could never do on my own. And if you're a business owner, you know how hard it is to build a team that you can depend on. And that's why tools like ZipRecruiter are game changers. ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technologies helps you find the right candidates as fast as possible. They even let you send personalized invites to top candidates so that way you don't miss the perfect fit. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/hardknocks. So hire experienced people who are excited about what they do with ZipRecruiter. And you want to know something crazy? 4 to 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So see for yourself and go to ZipRecruiter.com/hardknocks. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Now with that being said, let's go get this next interview. Excuse me, sir. Question for you. How old were you when you made your first million?
Million or billion?
You made $1 billion?
Well, I sold my company for 800 million.
For how much?
800 million.
You sold a company for 800 million?
I did.
And I go all over the world interviewing the most successful entrepreneurs on how they made it for the younger generation. Could we get 1 minute with you for our channel real quick?
Sure.
What type of company did you sell?
Payments, Braintree, Venmo. If you've ever paid somebody with Venmo.
Like Venmo, the app? You sold Venmo?
Yes.
Or actually, could we ask you a couple quick questions?
Sure.
How long have you been a business owner?
When I was 21, I determined that I was going to try to make a difference in the world, doing something interesting for the human race, and I thought entrepreneurship was the path. I didn't know what to do, so I thought making a bunch of money would be a good solution, and then when I made the money, I would figure out what to do in my life.
How old are you now?
47.
Over these 47 years, if you can think about one piece of advice that you've received that maybe helped you in business or even outside of business, what's the best advice you ever got throughout your career?
It would be the advice I would give to myself. The advice I never received. Make health your #1 life priority. And there's always this story in entrepreneurship where you grind as hard as you can. You'll hear stories of the person who slept under their desk or coded for 2 nights in a row. It's like amazing, they're epic. But you never hear the story like the person's well rested and has really great biomarkers and a clear head. And so I wish I would have received the advice, make health your #1 life priority, because if you do, you'll be a better entrepreneur. And I really missed that. I traded health for wealth, and it hurt my ability to create wealth.
And there's that saying that I love, that a rich man wants 1,000 things, but a sick man only wants one thing, and that's their health. Let me ask you this. What is your most controversial opinion about health that a lot of people may disagree with you on? Something that is normalized in society. What's your most controversial opinion about health in today's world?
That we are the first generation that won't die.
What do you mean?
We are the first generation who will not die.
Like, dies and like actually...
That's right.
So you don't plan on dying?
That's right.
How old realistically do you think you can live until?
I'm chronologically 47, but biologically, my cardiovascular ability is age 18. My lung capacity is age 18. My telomeres, my end of chromosomes are age 18. So my body functions in many ways like an 18-year-old. And so when you start measuring the biological age of your body, it's very different than the time which you were born. So that's what I wish I would have learned. Typically, people perform very well in their youth. There's skill sets, there's physical ability, mental ability, emotional ability that peaks typically in like early life stages, and then it declines with older stages. Especially that's true if you're grinding very hard. And so this is why I say making health your top priority, because if you do so, you're going to be in peak performance. Like the difference between being healthy and non-healthy when you're thinking is like night and day. And so that's why I think being an entrepreneur, making health your top priority is the highest yield thing you can do for your company.
So you said that you're 47, but you have the cardiovascular endurance or capacity of an 18-year-old. So are you like reverse aging?
Yeah, I guess you could say
you're slowing down the progression of how
yeah,
you're
exactly.
aging.
So you can do two things. One is you can reverse aging damage. You can slow down speed of aging. So my speed of aging currently is the slowest in the entire world. So there's 5,000 people all over the world competing for the lowest possible speed of aging. We call ourselves Rejuvenation Olympics. And I'm number one in the world on doing this. So my birthday happens every 24 months. And so I've made a new Olympic sport out of how to slow down your speed of aging. So in many ways, I'm an entrepreneur again. I'm trying to create a brand new sport. And the new sport is don't die. It's like we are the first generation who won't die. And if you take that path, what do? Like you want to slow down your speed of aging, you want to reverse aging damage, and you want your body to operate basically functionally like, an 18-year-old.
Now, I'm 22 years old.
Yeah.
My original goal was to live until about 80 years old. I was like, hey, that's good. Let's say I want to live to 100. What's the number one thing I should be doing right now on a daily basis to make that happen?
First, those are rookie numbers. 100?
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. So the ambition we can have as a species right now, there's no reason why we couldn't think in the hundreds or even thousands of years. If you just look at the speed at which AI is improving and medical advancements that are coming, over the coming decades, we'll be able to extend our lifespans. Like, for example, like right now, my birthday happens every 2 years. I've slowed down my speed of aging. That buys us a lot of time to find a lot of advancements to extend life further and further. And so I'd say for you, the three things I would say is sleep is your number one life priority. Nothing's more important than sleep.
That's incredible. Do you think America's trying to kill us?
I will tell you, I've tested over the years everything I put into my body. So all the air I breathe, all the food I eat, all the water I drink, and the world is toxic. Like you've probably heard this, but when you see the data, it's terrifying.
Give me an example for people that really don't know, like how toxic, like maybe the littlest things are, like the water we drink, or just something that you think would surprise a lot of people.
I mean, everything. So we just started testing a bunch of stuff. So like common things like foods you buy in packages. They have heavy metals like mercury, cadmium, arsenic, lead. They have agrochemicals like glyphosate. So everything you eat has chemicals, and very few companies test. So we've been testing everything. It's really contaminated. We just tested a diaper just because we were trying to figure out it has these dangerous levels of glyphosate, this chemical. We tested dog food, has high levels of mercury. And so it really is in all the food supply. And so we're now working on trying to source our own foods, test them all for all these chemicals, and try to have a pure food source, which I've done for myself, trying to make it available to others. But these are the kinds of things you need to nail down. You just don't realize every day how exposed you are to contamination.
I know that you said that your goal is to live forever, and you brought up how me wanting to live till 100 is rookie numbers.
That's right.
How old do you think you possibly can live until? Give me a number, an estimate.
I don't think we'll die.
You don't think you will die?
No, I mean, on the time spans which our minds can comprehend, right now, Earth has existed for 3.4 billion years or more. Yeah. We think of our lifespans on 70 years, like thereabouts. Why? Like, why couldn't it be a few hundred? Biology already has a few immortal species. So we know biology can achieve immortality. We just have to take from one species over to our species. So it can be done. It's not like we're talking about trying to exceed the speed of light, where it's like a major physics problem. So it can be done. That's why I'm saying that there's no reason why we should have some kind of tempered expectations or ambitions.
Right. You got amazing advice. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. So we just ran into an interview with Brian Johnson, who sold his company for $800 million. But that was not a typical School of Hard Knocks interview. So I'm always talking about business and wealth building and how these millionaires and billionaires make their money. But we talked about the most important thing that we have that we don't even realize, which is our health. You see, remember, a rich man wants 1,000 things, but a sick man only wants one, and that's their health. Great interview with Brian Johnson. He just gave us some serious value and gold in that last interview, but we got to keep this one rolling and go get another one out here, you guys. Come on, let's go. Excuse me, sir. Sir, question for you.
Yes.
How old were you when you made your first million?
Me personally, not the business?
Yeah, personally.
42.
And what line of business are you in?
I'm in software.
Yeah? And do you think I could interview real quick? I have one of the biggest business media channels in the entire world. I go all over interviewing the most successful people.
I think I've heard of you guys.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'd love
Would
to
you want me
talk
with
to
you? Is that cool?
That would be awesome.
Awesome. How long have you been a business owner?
This particular company, almost 20 years, and I had one before that for about 6.
What was the turning point like getting into software? Did you always know that you were going to pursue software or like how did you end up in this business?
So I started in tech as a young man, and in my case, that was 40 years ago, in IBM, which is a big tech firm that we all still know. But I didn't kind of move towards software until I was in the industry about 15 years, and then came to Austin to work for a company here. Kind of got the bug of the startup game, and then 3 other buddies and I started one in 2000. That was our first company.
Actually. What was the most amount of money that you made in a single year?
The company?
Yeah.
We're over $850 million in revenue.
Over 850 million?
Yes.
What was the best advice you ever received throughout your career? The most pivotal, life-changing advice that you received in business or anything? What was the best advice you ever got?
I'm going to hesitate to say this is the only great piece of advice I got, but I've given this piece of advice to a lot of people in business setting. And an older guy that when I joined IBM in the 1980s said, look, my advice to younger folks is to spend about 90% of your time on your job and 10% on your career. And I'm like, what does that mean? And he said, look, if you spend 100% on your job, you're going to do a really good job at the job you're in, but nobody's ever going to see you moving beyond that job because you aren't making connections. You're not thinking beyond it. Where do you go next? On the other hand, if you drop it to like 80-20, spend 80% on your job and 20% run around your career, you're not going to do a good enough job. You're only putting 80%. So he's like, the right balance is put most all of your energy, 90-ish plus percent, into doing a great job with where you're at, but you always want to reserve like 10% of your capacity, make connections, learn about what it takes to go to the next level. How do I become an entrepreneur if I've never been an entrepreneur? How do I get into that industry if I'm in another industry? You're always thinking about stretching and growing, but that's about 10%. And if you keep that balance, I think that's a really healthy piece of advice.
You sold hundreds of millions of dollars in the tech industry. Somebody wants to break into the tech industry right now. Give them a hack to sell their product at a large scale.
I think, to be fair, in my case, and again, we're selling that kind of dollars to large scale companies. So we're selling to big businesses.
So you're selling to big businesses. So in other words, you got to solve those $100,000 million problems.
That's where I was going. And you got to have people that know what they're doing. That's where I was going. Like, you got to have software engineers, you got to have salespeople, marketers that understand that large business environment because it's very different from small business, which is different from consumer.
But so you said you're selling to tech giants, though.
Oh, yeah. We're selling to the biggest companies in the world.
Like what?
Like the Fortune 500. Half of them are our customers. Yeah.
So when you're approaching them, when you're selling to them, what does that conversation look like? How do you sell to a tech giant like that?
You know what? It's not one conversation. Our sales cycles can be a year or longer, and it can be 50 people in the organization that we got to talk to.
What is the biggest thing that the deal depends on?
Well, ultimately, and it's a team decision typically on the customer side, it's going to come down to, do they believe we're the best partner, I'll use that term, the best company that's going to solve their problem? And if they don't believe that, they're not going to spend the millions of dollars to buy your product.
How do you effectively communicate that when you're in a conversation?
You got to show them. There's proving it by showing them. Often there's these things called proofs of concept or pilot where you're showing them the tech. You got to have typically very strong references. They got to go, I want to see 5 other people like me that already use this. So the hardest part of a business like ours is the early days when you don't have those references yet. You got to find people that will trust you with a new technology. But once you're bigger and we're there, we're using our existing references to help our new potential prospects trust that we can solve their problem.
How old are you now?
62.
I would have guessed like 40. But real quick though, I'm in my 20s. Your last message to somebody in their 20s trying to build a billion-dollar company in today's world. They want to become successful like you. Give them one more nugget about business, one more piece of advice. Your last message to the younger generation trying to become successful.
Surround yourself with a great team.
It all comes down to people.
Never do this by yourself.
Yeah.
Find the right team, get the right people around you, and then go after a great problem. You got to have a big enough market problem to get to a billion-dollar business for sure, but you got to have the right team to get it done.
How did you identify billion-dollar problems?
I had been in this space a long time, been around security for big companies, so we had seen a lot of what worked and what didn't, and ultimately we saw things emerging that looked like they could be big problems. And look, I will tell you the truth, this problem, this space has gotten bigger than we ever thought it would. So some of it is sometimes markets evolve in ways you can't predict, and it's actually made our space even more attractive. But we knew it'd be a good space, it's become a great space.
Do you believe in God?
I don't just believe in him, I follow him.
Did you always believe in God?
Yes, I did.
Talk to me about how important faith has been for you building a billion-dollar company.
Well, to me, the faith thing has a number of aspects in my life. It means partly because I felt like Jesus lived this way. I value all the people in my life. They don't have to join me in my faith view. They don't have to be having the same belief system as me, but I want to care about them, right? Jesus famously said, do unto others the way you like them to do unto you. Treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Well, if you live that way, you're going to have a pretty good life. You're going to treat people the way they want to be treated. They're going to feel good. They're going to feel valued. So that's core. And I think the other part of the faith thing is kind of, to use an overused term maybe, what's your identity? My identity is not in being a business guy or an entrepreneur, right? My identity is being a child of God. But I happen to be an entrepreneur. entrepreneur. I'm also a husband and a father and a bunch of other things that are super important to me. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to base my worth on whether my business works or not. I'm happy that it's been great. The Lord blessed me a lot in our business, blessed our people. But at the end of the day, that's not how I value myself. The business could go away tomorrow and I'd be okay.
You got amazing advice, my friend.
Well, thanks.
Thank you
It's
so
fun
much for
chatting
your
with you.
time. I
Thanks.
really appreciate that. Guys, this video was incredible. Austin just went crazy with the billion-dollar moguls out here. But I need you guys to like and subscribe for amazing content we've got coming every single week, because I'm going all over the world to interview the biggest business owners and the most successful people for you all. And do yourself a favor, go down to the link in the description of this video to join the #1 community for business owners in the entire world, the School of Mentors, because every single week I bring in the multimillionaires and billionaires that I interview to mentor you on live calls where you can learn skill sets directly from them and the blueprints that they use to become millionaire and billionaire entrepreneurs, so you can do the same. I can't wait to see you on the inside of the School of Mentors. And with that being said, I'll see you in the next video.